Okay, welcome everyone to our whatever day it is coaching call, January 23rd, 2018. I'll just start out by giving you guys a little update on my health. I really appreciate all the well wishes and your patience as I'm going through this totally unexpected health issue. What? No. You guys can hear me. Okay, whatever. It changed my microphone. I don't know why, but okay, so what the heck happened to me? January 3rd, so it was actually, I worked a couple of days after this even happened, but we've got four main arteries that supply our brain with blood, and this one on me decided to have a dissection. What that means is that the inner lining of the vessel tore. Best guess is it's related to the car accident that I had 4 years ago, that it just caused some kind of a weakness in that vessel. It's not related to keto at all. It's not a clogged artery. It's not a, atherosclerotic plaque like people think of for heart attacks. The vertebral artery dissection, VAD, is the most common cause of stroke in young people. And so even more so that keto didn't cause this, keto actually probably has helped me not have a stroke and not have a lot worse symptoms. So the ER doc, when I went in, was really surprised that, when they did the head scan to see what was going on, because it says most people that have that have a lot of symptoms of stroke. And so, my pharmacist that I'm working with, it says she's very familiar with keto, which I'm really grateful for. And she said that, that likely because I haven't had a stroke or I don't have worse symptoms of it, like, drooping face and a whole bunch of other stuff that people normally have, that's credited to my ketogenic diet. And so what happens with that tear in the inner lining, and it should heal on its own in about 3 to 4 months is what they're telling me. And what happens with that tear, though, is that anytime there's an injury in the body, wants to make a scab on it. So there's a clot around that tear in that vessel, and that causes the narrowing. So I've got a 50% blockage in that artery going to my brain, which makes less blood flow to my brain total. So that's what they're attributing most of my symptoms to. So you might notice a slow processing, memory problems. My eyes seem to be pretty droopy as well, and a lot of fatigue. And so I'm doing way better than I was over the last couple of weeks. So the other risk of that is with that narrowed vessel, the body's reaction to that is as blood tries to flow through an area where there's an narrowing, it stimulates blood clotting. And that's where the risk of stroke was immediate afterwards, as well as until it heals, until that vessel returns to normal. And so they've got me on anticoagulant therapy until it does heal in order to prevent a stroke. So that's what's going on with me. And I appreciate all your well wishes. I really appreciate all of your patience. Again, this was totally unexpected and not how I planned to start out my year at all. And 2017 was fantastic and finished up the year in a great way as well too. So anyways, that's up with me. I'm here to support you all, and we've got a couple of times this week, so this call, and I've got one more on Thursday. So I'm going to be easing back into support, and as my energy allows and my mental clarity and all that allows, then we'll keep going back to full steam ahead. So I've blocked off. I'm not taking on any new clients until for a couple more weeks at least, and so that I can give the energy that I do have to support you guys to, existing clients, all of you, prioritize that for you guys. So, and again, you've probably seen this in the emails, but we're going to extend your program out generously to make up for the time that I haven't been able to be here to support you guys. So apologize for that. And so we have a caller that joined. Who do we have by phone?
Hi, Carol. It's Stephanie.
Hi,
I
Stephanie.
don't have a computer right now.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. All right. So we're gonna go with Anne, and then Catherine, and then Stephanie. You'll be next in line there. So Anne, how are you? I know you've had doctor's appointments since I've been able to talk to you, and and anything else going on. So how are you? Please share.
Well, I wish I had better news to report, but the reality is, I don't know, it's still kind of mixed. I did have the doctor's appointment like you shared, and I don't know if this is good news or bad news, but all the blood work and all that did not indicate that there was, like an issue around insulin or, anything like that. So what they said to me is they think what might be going on is, for whatever reason that they're not sure, my brain somehow does not communicate to my body, I guess, that I'm full,
Okay.
which continues the sensation of hunger. So what they've been trying is appetite suppressants.
Okay.
Which actually, interestingly enough, and typical for me, the first one was phentermine. That did not work. Then the next one was metformin. That did not work. And then literally today, I'm picking up what is it? Victoza, which I don't know. It's another prescription appetite suppressant that I'm going to give a try to. So. Or try with. So fingers crossed, maybe this will be the one. And I don't know. My body just seems to be resistant. It's always been resistant to this. And this I think kind of confirms that. But hopefully maybe this will, this latest one will help. And then the other part that I tried, I don't know, it was about, well, actually, I guess it has been 2 weeks ago. I was so frustrated and, about the whole thing. I was looking online and saw what they refer to themselves as zero carb. And that, you're probably familiar with them, the ones that are like the carnivores.
Yeah.
And so they just, I thought, well, all right, maybe that would help, like the fullness and stuff. So for just the last 2 weeks, I've only been eating, water, meat, and eggs.
Okay.
That's all I've been eating. But their premise, which I'm not sure is workable for me or anybody for that matter, is they say you should eat however much you need to until you are full. Well, obviously, if I have this appetite issue, then you eat a lot, right?
Yeah.
And so since I began with you, I have gained 8 pounds. So then with this latest approach, I kind of started to panic about, well, I can't keep eating all this food, anyway. So I posted on their Facebook group, and what they say, and I've seen them say it to other people, is this approach allows your body to adjust hormonally at whatever rate your body needs to, and that for the weight loss, some people, it happens right away for, other people it doesn't. Sometimes you'll gain weight. It may take up to 6 months, for things to turn around. Well, if I keep going this way in 6 months, I'll be way up there. And when I mentioned that to Dr. Gerber's office, and this is his assistant I'm talking to, and what she said was, and she said, I don't disagree with that. They're the ones that support keto, like, and she said, I don't have a problem with you eating that way. And maybe you could try, that approach. Plus, if we could find an appetite suppressant that would work for you, then maybe that's an approach. Or maybe if we could find an appetite suppressant that works, you could go back to like what I was doing with you with, just the straight keto. So
yeah, a very dear friend of mine is a carnivore, 100% carnivore, Amber O'Hearn. So, the way that's going to work for appetite regulation is, if it hasn't kicked in by now, I don't think that there's any magic that if you just keep eating, for 6 months that way, that all of a sudden it's gonna
Yeah.
work that way. So part of that is the body, the way that our brains are designed is that if we eat any one food, we get satiated from that because our bodies are designed to want variety to try to get nutrient balance. And so if we limit our food selection, that's always going to make us eat less than if we have a bigger variety of food. And so there's nothing about, and protein tends to be the most satiating. We're going to develop that, not from a like, oh, I'm so full and satisfied, just a feeling of like, I don't want to eat any more of that. Protein tends to do that more than any other macronutrient. So carbs, you probably recognize, most of us, especially the more refined carbs, we can just eat those until the cows come home, right? And fat as well is satiating, but we can eat more of it than we can protein. So that tends to be why it is so satiating and why people naturally will lose weight or find a natural body weight, just because when you really limit your food sources, that is going to dramatically reduce appetite or your body's desire. So that's the, the behind the scenes magic of why that's working that way. And, most of the people that are in that, kitty hairs in my mouth. Most of the people that are in that community are not, not healthcare providers, but they also don't have, even if they are healthcare providers, they don't have that advanced understanding like I do of the brain chemistry of, why that's so satisfying for people too. So, and additionally, some people get a lot of benefits from going 100% carnivore because plants do have toxins in them. And some people have a lower tolerance to those, and they do a lot better if they cut them all out. So those are kind of the health benefits of it, and how it can regulate appetite and satiety and promote weight loss without having to count calories and things like that. And so I think for you, that if you're finding it isn't any different than what you were doing before, it unfortunately it may just boil down to counting calories and choosing what foods help you feel the most satisfied of the proteins and fats, and moderating carbohydrates to to veggies. We know that probably that the more refined carbohydrates, typically the ones we're not eating on keto, are definitely going to stimulate appetite a lot more for you.
Right.
And so eating within the framework of, mostly keto, maybe leaning a little bit more carnivorous, because the protein, we did notice a pattern where on your higher protein days that you did have a lot more satiety, more than what was otherwise. But, targeting protein is your primary goal, adding in fat and veggies to your, to give you some variety in your diet. And then, aiming for, so what has been your calorie counter? Have you been tracking anything since you've been doing mostly carnivore?
Their deal is, you're not supposed to do anything like that. It's supposed to be very simple. Eat meat, drink water, and then eggs, So I thought, all right, I'll try that, and I'll see, mentally, all that. So no, I haven't been tracking, but I imagine it has to be pretty high. It just.
Yeah. So I would, try to go with, it's 12 to 1400 calories a day, dial it back to that and see how you feel. And I think from what you've done before is that even when you've done a little bit lower calorie than that, you tend to do pretty well with that. Like, don't feel, because there is a point where eating more kind of stimulates appetite, and the more frequently you eat during the day, that will also stimulate appetite too. And so I would try your best to stick with, 3 meals a day and avoid snacks if you can.
I do that I do already.
Okay.
The issue, it doesn't matter what approach I try, even the lower, kind of calorie thing before, the issue is always hunger, always.
Okay. Yeah.
And that seems to be like, I don't have the cravings. I don't, it's just hunger, like that kind of hunger where, I'll eat whatever. And then an hour later, I'm like, well, what the heck? I feel like I didn't need anything, or, do you know what I'm saying? So I don't, like I said, when I said to her name is Erin at Dr. Gerber's office, I said, well, okay, let's assume that maybe one of these appetite suppressants works. I mean, is that, which would be great, but does that mean I take that for the rest of my life or something, and she, she wasn't so sure. obviously about that. I mean, obviously that's not like in an ideal scenario, but she, you know, she just said, Ann, there just seems to be like a misfire for you or something.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that she said, but we didn't pursue it yet, was she said, maybe keto is not the right approach for you. But I'm not to the point, and I don't think she's to the point where it would be, well, all right, let's throw in the towel. Because like I've told you before, I like this way of eating, the keto. I like it. So I don't want to throw it away. I just want to figure out a way that I'm not eat this way in a way that I'm not hungry all the time, and can, obviously get get further. Now I'm like, I wanted to lose 10 pounds. Well, now we're up to, like 18 pounds.
Are they talking about doing any genetic testing? Because there can be some genetic things that, interfere with appetite regulation. Are they talking about that at all, or?
No, that never occurred to me. And she didn't say that to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that might be, the next step is kind of exploring maybe endocrinology, and getting a referral to an endocrinologist and maybe a geneticist and checking on that. And they may be able to find the cause behind it, but that means it doesn't mean they necessarily can fix it. Then it probably will take some kind of medical intervention, or like a prescription intervention in order to manage that. But at least you could have some kind of a understanding of why and behind the scenes, so it's not just like, why am I so crazy? Why do I feel crazy about this?
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So in the meantime, I would track your food and do moderate the calories, which again is not the normal thing that we have to do, but there's something unique and special about you and your brain chemistry and what's happening that it's not getting those it's not getting the proper signals that it should. And they probably were completely dumbfounded when phentermine didn't work, because, that one's kind of a go-to, like that should kill everybody's appetite type of thing. Right. So,
yeah, she was actually. And then she's like, well, okay, let's try the metformin, and I'm like, but isn't that for, diabetics? And she said, well, yes. And you're not diabetic, but, sometimes the appetite part of that will work. Well, I went on the highest dosage possible, and it didn't do anything.
Did they test your leptin?
I think so, but I'm not like, I don't have a copy of what they tested, but what she said to me, it looks pretty comprehensive when I saw what they were going to test. But she said, from your blood work and stuff, she said, there's not an issue. And you would think that kind of clinic would test your leptin, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah. So if you can get a copy of that, ask her if you can, I don't know if they have a patient portal or something like that. If you can get a copy of that by PDF and email that to me, I'd love to see it, and we can see if they checked your leptin or not. And if not, then that would be another one to kind of look at and see, because that definitely, if your leptin resistance, that will definitely make you hungry all the time.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
And how about self-care? How have you been doing with that? What are you doing for you?
Well, I'm not actually doing very well there at all, to be perfectly honest. My anxiety level is, it's just very high, because I'm scared. I try to do, as far as like all the things that I know to do, the exercise, the meditation, the breathing, I try to do all those things. Well, I do those things. But this is such an overpowering thing that I can't find something that like helps me get to a less anxious place. It's just like, it's just kind of like this chronic anxiety. And one of the medications, of that litany of medications is for me for anxiety. So I'm even surpassing that, but I know what it is. It's this issue.
Yeah.
you know, so I feel like if I could somehow get a handle on this, then, you know, things I'm hoping would then fall into place.
Yeah.
But, you know, as you know, this challenge has been going on for a long time. You
So
know,
what about you know, some talk therapy, a counselor? Because part of it, I mean, the constant anxiety state will make the body hungrier, and you know, working on resolving some of the underlying stuff of this too, and bringing that calm and peace to you, so that as you go through this, because you know, it sounds like it's going to be still a journey for you of unraveling what's really going on behind the scenes. That having that support in that meantime may be really, really important for you, because you know, most of all, I care about your quality of life, meaning just feeling happy. And you know, that's my ultimate goal for everybody that I work with, is I want to bring them happiness and peace and freedom, and just feel really good about who they are. And I've got a very good friend of mine that's here in the Seattle area that does work with people remotely, and her specialty is you know, food issues, basically the big umbrella of that. And she's got a lot of advanced you know, experience with that, and that's what she specializes in. She's, you know, supportive of you know, a keto diet and low carb. She follows low carb herself. And I can connect you with her and see if because that I know everybody who's worked with her just absolutely loves her, but she's tends to be pretty practical and not like, she's not like woo woo, and but really, really solid in what she does. So is that something that
sure, yeah.
okay. All right. So I'll email the both of you together and connect you, and then you know, because as we work to figure this out and get you all the support that you need through this, I think that'll be a really big piece of having somebody else to help you with all that, so that you just start to feel really good. And you work so hard at this for so long, you really, really deserve that. So
Okay.
yeah, it's not for lack of trying, obviously, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. What else can we help with, Anne?
Oh, hey, that help with that, and you know, you'll be my hero for life.
Oh, yeah. Well, I applaud you again of how hard you're working and how tenacious you are, and you're just not, you know, obviously a really strong woman, and you know, you're giving this your 110%. No, more than that. Like, yeah, you're giving it
Yeah.
everything. So,
All right. Thank you.
yeah. All right. Catherine, you're muted currently. I'll just let you know that. So,
I feel like I'm back on track.
okay.
Well, I know I'm back on track.
Okay.
Not a feeling, it's knowledge. Um, I have lost 8 of the 10 extra pounds that I put back on.
Okay.
And I've seen my sleep specialist and my cardiologist and my GP since the beginning of the year. My sleep is doing excellent. It's better than it's ever been. And the few weeks over Christmas, even that included, where you know, my sleep with my CPAP was so limited. This has really been a real lesson in staying the course and getting sleep, getting effective sleep. So I think I'm finally getting it.
Oh, good.
And when I eat this way, I can manage the stress in a whole different way. I mean, we're going to be leaving in March to live abroad for a year. And so we're picking up our house and all of that. Oh, sorry.
There we go.
We're packing up our house and everything else. So, and a lot of that is also, it's a big life transition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last time I did this transition, we were moving to the West Coast, and I was pregnant with my now 20, almost 22-year-old.
Okay.
So it's a big change. And when I get there are triggers which I've learned to identify
Okay.
emotionally.
Okay. Good.
Um, and you know, when I can go back and identify the trigger, it's so much easier. And years of therapy have helped me learn that skill,
Okay. Okay.
which I'm happy about. So
Yeah.
I feel like I'm back on track, which is great. I don't have a lot of questions right now. I think the biggest piece is I'm meditating with a group at school. They've
Okay.
started a meditation group, and it goes through till I leave. And it's once a week, but it's hugely important. And it's mindfulness training.
Oh, good.
So that's good, and it's something I'm familiar with, but I'm learning how to integrate it again. And one of the things that I have on my desk and on my mirror in the bathroom and wherever is a little quote off my annual calendar, which is, if you have time to breathe, you have time to meditate. And whenever I see it, I check my breath and I take a deep breath, and it definitely helps. It sort of takes me out of the stress of the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I saw my sleep specialist, my hypopnea index is really low, which is good, means I'm getting good brain blood and
Yeah.
oxygen. When I saw my cardiologist, all of my metabolic indicators are grossly normal.
Oh, good.
I'm down on the below the midpoint of the range for normal. And the only indicator, I had him do the inflammatory index for heart disease. I
Okay.
can't remember the name of it.
HSCRP.
Yes,
Yeah.
and mine was right down almost to the bottom.
Was it below 1?
Oh, yes, it was. I believe
good.
so.
Good.
I think
Good.
it was
Good.
0.8 or something like that.
Excellent.
But it was
That's
really
ideal. Yeah.
really low.
Yeah. Ideal.
And I've never had any indicators of coronary artery disease or artery disease. He didn't do a serum insulin, but he did the A1G. Is that what it's called?
A1C. Okay.
A1C, and that was 5.9, and my
Okay.
blood sugar was 111. Now, I know that the A1C goes over the last few weeks, shows me over the last few weeks, and I've been eating at the wing wang with.
Yeah, so A1C is a 90-day. It's basically like the average of your blood sugar over the last 90 days.
Right, which makes sense to me that, especially the last half of that 90 days was high sugar content.
Yeah, so the down, if you can get it down, 5 or even a little bit below 5 is going to be ideal, but,
absolutely. And I will get my GP to do a serum insulin. My fasting sugar last May with my cardiologist was 89.
Okay.
But I had spent the month, Lent and everything else eliminating sugars.
Yeah, because if you do low carb for a while and then you have if you do sugar cheats, it actually will cause things to go bad, like way worse than they were before.
Right.
Because your body doesn't tolerate that very well. So it can actually be pretty high risk of causing some pretty serious health problems doing that. So hopefully next year you don't go down that same path, because that's when we see people have kidney stones and gallstones and some other serious things that they think like, oh, it's just a kind of a one-time thing that I'm doing this thing, but some pretty serious health things, because your body just doesn't have the tolerance built up to process those things. So,
well, not only that, I felt terrible.
Yeah.
I felt terrible, and I had been feeling so good, and I'm back to that almost daily feeling that good.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So, and it was helpful for me to see that none of my that, with the exception of that, and I do have a family history of type 2.
Yeah.
With the exception of that, I'm in good shape. And I feel like, I can actually get this next 20 off.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of paying attention. And I think part of it is eating more fat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I found an avocado mayo, and that is, sometimes that's a snack for me,
Okay.
just a couple of tablespoons. I tend to eat 3 meals a day rather than snack in between, but if I'm
Yeah.
hungry, I'll go for that
Okay.
because I'm definitely getting enough protein. Protein has never been a problem for me. I actually have to watch that I don't eat too much protein. So, so that's me, and I feel good that I've got this sort of bellwether to come home to even if it's only every couple of weeks.
Ah,
The
bellwether? What? I don't know
well,
the phrase.
the calls,
Oh, okay.
or
Okay.
just the knowledge of the calls.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I should, it should be that that going forward I'll be resuming them on,
Oh
the
yeah,
regular
but
schedule.
to
So.
me, just knowing that the opportunity's there, and I wasn't afraid about them not happening. What I see is that just the knowledge of them I hold myself more accountable.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I've definitely seen that's people stay on track when they know they have this accountability piece too, and just the community and the engagement with everyone else too is important to know. You're
Well,
not
and
alone.
it's also helpful to understand that I'm not always the only one struggling in the world.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
Great,
me.
great. All right. Well, welcome back on track. And okay, Stephanie, welcome, lady. How are you? Let us know how things are going for you.
Yeah, can you hear me good?
Yes.
Can you hear me
Yes.
all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see. So glad that you're feeling better and that we're back to checking in. And I'm doing all right. I will say I'm doing good. With the keto, there's certain moments when there's a lot of room for improvement, but I'm back on track for the most part, which is really good. And my life is completely changed now that I'm not 24/7 with my mother, so I'm sort of finding my way with that. So yeah, that's all, doing well, and I have some questions. If it's good to jump right into them.
Yes. Yes.
So for various reasons, I don't have a computer during the day, which will change. But when I tried to get onto the dashboard to do the videos, etc., through my iPhone, it just came up blank. So I'm going to assume that the issue is that I'm, got this stupid little iPhone trying to do the work through the Wi-Fi. So if I have any problems, though, who with that? Who should I with technical stuff? Who should I email?
Yeah, if you send an email to support@ketocarol.com,
Okay.
Samantha is my assistant right now, and she should be able to help you with that. So.
Okay. Then let me see. I haven't done any blood work since I started on keto in June. And now that I have time to take care of me, I'm, attending to various medical checkups and whatnot. So I just, if you could, I see a naturopath and then a nurse practitioner, and so it's the thyroid, thing that I check, and then for the first time, I had checked the fasting insulin, and so is that what what's the best way for me to sort of check what are a few key ones that you want me to make sure I get checked? And then I do have some, I was listening carefully to everyone, but particularly to the idea of I have, I have had some transgressions, so that was important for me to hear how that will, how the body really gets used to it, what we're doing. And so anyway, I'm a bit anxious about my progress not being as what I want it to be, but I think it's time for me to check some things.
Yeah, I mean, your doctor's going to run, standard blood work. What I would add to that is going to be, fasting insulin is a good one to get.
Mm-hmm.
And as well as they're typically going to check your blood glucose, but ask for A1C. That may be part of what they order. It may not be, but that's always a good one to check too. Those are the only two that I would add to what they're normally going to check.
Okay. And was there something that we talked about in a coaching call a while ago about something that you do to get the most accurate with maybe not eating so many hours before or
oh yeah. So fast. Dave Feldman is our just guy who's doing amazing work in this whole field of cholesterol research. Is fast for 12 hours before your test is what he's recommending to get the most accurate. Yeah.
Okay. So some psychological stuff. Once I went through, used a session with you about really understanding the chronometer, it didn't last very long, but the main reason is because I got discouraged and I thought, wow, even what I thought I was doing wasn't really within the bounds of what we're working towards in terms of 20 carbs a day, blah, blah, blah. So I got kind of discouraged and I thought, well, is it better for me to track? Of course it is, because I'm at the point where I'd like to lose this final kind of 25 pounds, and I was looking at your website, and I kind of identify right now with your picture of yourself that you have on the general website of before, and where you are, sort of a side view, and I thought, well, this is I want to. I've been stuck on this plateau. So anyway, it's just all this kind of psychological and technical stuff. And at the same time, now I have, my husband and my teenager, 3 of us now I'm cooking for. And I want to start cooking more keto dishes. And so is there an online online place you recommend, or should I invest in one of these cookbooks by some of the woman you suggested? So these are all kind of things that are going around in my head.
So you're looking for an online place to look up recipes, or?
Yeah, I made keto moussaka, a couple of days, a week ago or so. And I just looked online, but I thought, well, maybe I should order one of these textbooks cookbooks, or is it just going to work for me to go online when I, want to make something? And is there a particular site that you recommend?
Yeah, in the training videos, I don't remember which week it is, but maybe like week 6 or 7, I want to say, I've got in there some recommended websites for recipes, and then also what to look for when you're on a website to know whether kind of red flags about don't use these recipes, and some other indicators that these are probably good, safe recipes. So
I'll go there.
Yeah, so and then we do have a lot of really great cookbooks that are available right now, and it's hard to recommend here's the one you should get. There's so many, but we've got pretty much anything that's come out by Victory Belt, which is my publisher for my book, if and when I get it done. Detours here, but they've got their best cookbook authors that they're all promoting in the keto world. So Maria Emmerich is also a really good one. All of her cookbooks are pretty popular and do a good job. And it's just going to take kind of looking through some of those and see which recipes sound the best to you. They kind of have I'm going to a book signing here tonight. That's Kendra Hawley is coming out. Her newest cookbook is Craveable Keto, and so it's going to be more of like, you know, things that people miss when they're following keto type of thing. Maria Emmerich's got some good, you know, her very first cookbook is a good one, but I can't say like, oh, here's the one you should get for sure. I would just say kind of look around. I mean, a lot of them are in local bookstores too. So if you've got one you can go and look at, like Barnes and Noble or something like that, they're going to have them there. So if you can kind of poke around and look through them and see which one kind of resonates with you. But yeah, that I would just recommend something that's by Victory Belt is going to be the best recipes that you can find. So
no, that's the publisher, Carol.
Yeah.
What's the second word? Victory what?
Belt, like holding your pants up belt.
Oh, got it. Yeah. Okay. So on the whole thing about the chronometer, I really need to do it. But I don't know. It's like something like I have to say in my head, which is, okay, you didn't make it today with the ratio, but keep going because, you know, you're going to figure it out.
Yeah, and remember, it's not about the ratio so much as it is just total grams of carbs and total grams of protein. The ratio will fall in line if you hit the other ones. So don't worry about the percentages so much.
Carbs and protein. Now, should I get one of those little things that you weigh your cheese on? Because otherwise it's a kind of a guesstimation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that is going to be the most accurate way to know exactly what you're eating is going to be that. So, yeah.
Same thing with the protein?
Yeah, you can weigh your proteins on there. Yeah.
And do you do that before cooking or after?
You can do it either way, and in chronometer, you just look it up. You know, you just enter it however you weighed it. So.
I got you. Yeah,
there's going to be like, you know, uncooked raw chicken, and there's going to be cooked chicken. So whichever way you want to weigh it or measure it.
Okay, got it. The salt, it seems that because of my life, I'm only doing it at night. But you've always said it's very important to do morning and evening.
Well, just because you can't do one whole teaspoon at one time because it causes diarrhea, and so just spread it out throughout the day. So it doesn't matter what time of day, but just in order to get a whole teaspoon in, you end up having to split it up. So whether that's afternoon and evening or morning and afternoon or, you know, brunch and mid-afternoon, like it doesn't really matter the time. Just I find pretty much nobody can tolerate a whole teaspoon at one time. So.
Well, so far I have been, but it's partly, it's partly because maybe I'm not drinking enough water, or maybe I'm not doing a full teaspoon in the evening. But I know what you're talking about because I have experienced that as well.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm excited. I'm excited to, you know, kind of try to lose more weight, and of course the health benefits as well. So I think I think I really do need to do the chronometer, even though I don't want to. And I guess now I'll have a computer, I can. But do people do it? Can you access it on your iPhone? I guess of course you can.
Yeah, you can access it through the, you know, just going to the website like you do any other website on your phone. But you can also download the app. I think it's like $3 to download the app. It's going to look, it looks a lot different on your phone because just to fit it on that tiny little screen, it's got to look different. But hopefully you can figure it out from there. Yeah. So the web version is free, and then the app just, again, is like a, you know, $3 to download it or something. So
maybe that'll make it a little easier just to throughout the day keep track the app. Do you do the app?
I mostly just use my computer.
Okay.
I mean, I track on my phone. Like I'll do weight check-ins and some other things, but I usually don't enter food on my my phone just because it's, you know, faster and easier to do it on my computer.
Yes, right. I think I understand.
But I'm also, you know, at my computer most of the day, so.
Okay, and then I have some curiosity about the low carb, the keto, and the sleep. What's like kind of the crash course about how that, the chemistry of that? Better sleep, low carb. How does keto affect our sleep?
I don't know that we know exactly the mechanism behind that, but that's what people are reporting, is that they sleep more deeply, more soundly. They wake up feeling more refreshed. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't read. I don't think they've done any research on it to know exactly what the mechanism is behind that. But just
okay,
it might be just your brain getting better fuel. Like your brain likes to, not have the too high of glucose and. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just guessing right now.
Okay. Okay. So then, the other thing, Carol, is this thing that you guys have tried to help me with before. It's the coffee thing. I think coffee is an appetite suppressant for me. I'm not so worried about drinking too much coffee in a day. It's just that I mean I like it really light. So I got some almond milk, coconut milk, and the cream, and I thought maybe I won't use so much cream if I mix it up with this, but it's so unsatisfactory. Then I was thinking maybe I should try half and half, but I remember what you said, and then I was thinking maybe I'm just not addressing the emotional thing, and I really can sort this out. But I have been drinking the coffee a little, not so much, not as diluted as I would, normally want. But I just feel like this is sort of my strength. Coffee helps, and my weakness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, the only, the challenge you're having with it is it ends up being like just tons of extra calories and probably a lot more carbohydrates as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and some of this is just an adjustment to taste, right? So if we're used to something that has a lot of carbohydrates in it, it's not going to taste as good to us at first when we're trying to change that. And so finding something, and that also can be part of the tracking piece. So if you're actually tracking and measuring how much cream you're putting in there, it will be really eye-opening. And then it ends up being instead of, it works well if people can move into a place of choice and empowerment with the food choices they make, rather than oh, poor me, I can't have that. So just that of how you're looking at your light coffee is that, like, do you feel like, oh God, I can't have that. I can't have that. That makes you want it more. If you say the statement to yourself, like, I don't eat that, or I don't drink that many carbs at one time, or I don't drink that many calories. That's something I don't do, or I choose not to. I don't want to drink 800 calories today. So I'm gonna choose something else. So it probably is never gonna taste as good as it did, but you finding some other alternative, or is part of the process, right? So so and the tracking can really open your eyes to that, because if you see like, oh my God, that was 800 calories right there, like, all right, kind of like years ago I used to go to Jamba Juice, and there was a certain thing that they had on the menu that I thought tasted the best, and then they implemented the law where you had to put the calorie counts on menu items at fast food places, right? And so I go in there one day and I see it's like 810 calories. And at that time, I didn't care about calories or anything like that. I saw that on the menu and I was like, oh my God, that's like 3 times as much as anything else on the menu. I'm like, I'm not going to order that anymore. Like, even though I thought it tasted the best, it was like, oh my God, 800 calories that I just drank, and it didn't even taste like a meal. So that can really help empower you to make different choices, rather than, it did still taste the best, but I decided I didn't want to drink 800 calories. So
Yeah. I hear you. I haven't focused so much on calories, because I've been really educating myself about the carbs since I started working with you. So for me, that's the one where, oh wow, that's that's a lot of carbs.
Calories don't matter except when they do. So
Yeah.
you definitely, especially when, if we're eating in ways that bypass our normal satiety cues, then calories matter a lot. So drinking anything pretty much just bypasses satiety. Like it doesn't really register, right? So, if you were to eat 800 calorie meal, you would feel stuffed. A food of protein and mixed protein, fat, and veggies and stuff. That's a big meal. But 800 calories in a drink, you could drink that no problem and then eat a meal right after that. Most people can. So
I see.
the drinking calories is where calories count, as well as when they're in like really tasty combos of like kind of dessert type things that are, even if they're keto friendly and low in carb, we're going to eat a lot more of that than we would if it was just regular, non-sweet food. So those are kind of the two areas where calories really do matter. Yeah. So, the liquids is one of those where, my son can he likes his coffee light as well. So he'll put like, half a cup in a 16-ounce glass and fill the rest with cream. And, and that's, when he does that frequently, then that's when his weight starts creeping back up. So then he's like, all right, gotta get cream out. So, so it's not, he doesn't have to track his calories that way, but he knows that's where the weight gain is coming from. So.
Yeah, that's very helpful. I didn't know that. But the calorie thing. So, well, good. So I'm sorry I missed the beginning of the call. So maybe this has been covered. So I think there are no sessions next week, if I read everything correctly. Did I get that correct?
No, we're going to be resuming these twice a week calls. I think I told Samantha to hold off, like I was going to do these this week and see how I felt before we added more in. But at this point, like we'll be able to resume the twice a week these calls. Yeah. And so then and then it's going to be, as far as the laser stuff for people who've got that, it's going to be we're going to go with what did I have her do?
When I clicked on the link, it said there was nothing available, and I just figured that was until you figured out what you were up for.
I told her to hold off just to make sure that,
okay.
This is a trial for me of how I can,
course.
But they should be, those should be coming up, available later this week.
Okay. All right. So,
we'll start resuming next week, but the availability should pop up later this week. So.
Okay, so maybe I just missed it. Maybe there is a time next week. Anyway, otherwise
it's not on the schedule yet. It hasn't been made yet. Yeah, so that's why you're
okay. I got it. I did sign up for the Tuesdays. So is it okay for me to join the call again on Thursday? I didn't want to,
for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
You're welcome to come into as many as you.
Okay.
As you like and want, yes.
All right, cool. Well, thank you, Carol, and everybody. Appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you for being here, Stephanie. Yeah, and keep going on your journey. And I know you want to try to master the chronometer, but just know, like, there's a lot of people that can have good success without actually tracking. And so always kind of go back to what was working before is always a good fallback, and don't beat yourself up so much about like not being perfect about the chronometer. So it's just meant to kind of help you understand like what has carbs and
right
and things like that. So, but don't feel like you have to do that in order to get the success that you want. So
right, yeah, that's helpful to hear. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
May I?
Oh yeah, Catherine, you have.
May I mention something about salt water? What I found helpful for me to be able to get all of the salt in is the night before I make a fresh batch for the next day. And then I warm up the first cup in the microwave before I have my shower and drink it before I have my shower. And then I come home from work at the end of the day, and I'm done. I can do it the last part, and I don't have to make it. So that's helped me get all of it in pretty easily. And I just warm it up I like it warm because it tastes more like soup. but you can do it cool or room temperature, and it does it overnight, and a day out won't make it won't go off or anything.
So that's so our goal is a teaspoon a day. Is that right, Carol?
Yeah, a minimum of that. Yeah.
Yeah, a minimum. Okay. Yeah, I hear you. Thank you, Catherine. I started asking my husband to do it for me at night. It seemed kind of like a piece of being taken care of, but I haven't. I'll try that idea as well. So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Other questions for you, Stephanie?
No, that's good. Thank you. I'm excited to touch base with everyone. Thank you.
Great. All right. We'll circle back around. Anything else come up? Anne, Catherine, any other questions, comments, ahas?
Not for me.
All right. Anne, I'll send you that email here in a couple of minutes to Katie is her name, Katie McKenna.
Okay.
And we'll get you guys connected and keep going, ladies. And we're all together. It's very bunch of strong women that we're connected with here. So I appreciate all of you, and we'll just keep going forward. So congrats on success and keeping going despite me not being here for the last couple of weeks. So again, I appreciate all your patience and your support, and we'll see you in a couple of days, or we'll see you next week on the calls, whatever fit your schedule. So take care, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, you too. Good job taking care of yourself, Carol.
Thank you. Thanks, Stephanie.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Bye.